Everyone thinks that rock bottom is the end. That's it. There's nowhere else to go. Well, I am here to tell you that it's not the bottom. This is your chance to rebuild, to create a stronger foundation for a better you. So if that's you, if this is how you're feeling right now, if you think there's nowhere left, if something catastrophic has happened to you and you think that this is the end, then this video is for you. My name's Jason from The Human Impact, and I'm here to share with you years and years of insights and experiences for you to have a more positive impact on yourself and the people around you. Right, let's go. The reality is I spent years broken, and I don't necessarily think I was aware of it. When I look back, there were so many red flags that led me to the snapping point. And these were eating. The dentist had called me out for bulimia, and that was really hard to hear. I just kind of laughed it off. I was broken physically. I stopped doing the things that I loved, being out in the mountains, training hard. There is something to be said for tiring the body and tiring the mind. I know there are some great people out there that talk about this. I just wasn't handling things very well. Alcohol, oh my days, the amount that I was drinking. And I just didn't see these as red flags because I wasn't dealing with all of the things that were important to me. And they built up and they built up. They just continued. And this may be something that you're hearing now and you're thinking, oh, right, maybe that's something that I need to be aware of, something that I need to consider. And at the time, what happens is you reframe things so they become normal. What actually is really abnormal just builds up, it builds up. And some of what I want to share in these videos is the awareness. If you're hearing any of these things and you think, hold up, that's me, but I think it's okay. These things are just not okay. Eating yourself to the point where you feel so guilty and then making yourself be sick. Drinking 3 bottles of wine in the evening after 5 or 6 pints in the pub. These things are just not normal, but then they build up. And it was breaking me. And again, this is why I want to share some of this stuff so that you can perhaps rethink some of the things that are going on. Because if you're looking at this and avoiding the tough question, thinking that I am broken, I am beyond repair, there is no hope, I feel there's no way of going on, so I might as well self-destruct myself, pressing the button or pulling the cork or opening the wrapper, I'm here to share with you that you're not. The reality of a breakdown moment is things are not over. It really is just exposing something within you that means that the load that you're carrying, whether that be financial, whether that be physical, whether that be mental, career, whatever it is that's been piling on top of your relationship, it just means that it's been exposed, that it needs to be dealt with. And I remember I wasn't sat very far away from here. I was sat in a chair and I had my head in my hands and I was just thinking, oh, it's done. That's it. It's over. I don't want to play this game anymore. The shame, the humiliation, the fact that I couldn't fix what needed fixing. You have this awareness that it's going to hurt people, and I don't. There's many people out there who don't have the intention to go out to hurt people at all, but by not dealing with some of the things that are going on, the knock-on effect is that it does. And there's a realization moment when you think that there's going to be people that are hurt. There's going to be a reputational savagery because people are mean when they get hurt, even though people talk about the fact that they are empathetic and mental health warriors. The reality is that people snap react to things when they're like maybe they're in an angry state as well. And you start thinking about it. And I was thinking, that's it. Who am I? What's been going on? There was a deep, dark realization moment. And then, this is a story for another video. I don't remember anything after this until a point where it just hit me even harder. I just could hear this horrific noise in my mind of my mum crying. And it was that howling, deep distress, not a kind of like sniffle, sniffle, sniffle. It was that deep, deep distress crying. And I knew that something had to change. And at that point, I decided that I needed to do something very, very quickly to get out of the crisis moment and into some immediate crisis care. And some of you out there will know what was going on at that point. But there was that build-up moment, that snap. And that snap was the shame, the humiliation. It's all gone. I'm broken. I'm broken beyond repair. How am I going to fix this thing up? As in me, what's been going on? There's this complexity of processes that go through in your mind. And if I can get through this, then I can guarantee that you can get through it too. So that for me was a really, really big point. It wasn't until a while after that that I started to find some meaning in that suffering. And some of that was through learning positive psychology. Some of that was going through some other psychology training and development that I'm going through now, was to understand that there was actually, I just couldn't find meaning in the suffering, and that led to a huge amount of despair. And again, that is exactly why I'm sharing this, is to be able to help you understand that these moments are not the end. These moments are the beginning. And that was something that became really, really clear as I went through, well, the next part of this really, which I'll share. There was a moment when I was sat with the GP, and it was pretty soon, we're talking about a good few weeks, 3-4 weeks after the snapping point. And I had my head in my hands, sobbing. And it was the first time that I declared that I was utterly broken and I don't know what to do. There have been things before that. I had to convince the police that they shouldn't section me. I'd had to close the world around me to just a couple of people who I trusted implicitly so that I could have sources of truth, just a couple of sources of truth. I had to ditch everything that was around me, social media, the whole lot, to focus on my personal care. And it was when I sat with the GP that I just first thought, actually, I'm not broken. I can repair this. And there were 3 things that we talked about that I could take some immediate action with. 2/3, but there was a third one which would be work in progress. And I'll share with you in a minute. I'll share those things in a minute with you. And quite tough to look back, but it's probably the most pivotal moment was that when I actually went to talk to a professional about this and then start to own a plan, to start to think about the fact that actually there's an awareness aspect, it's an awakening, it's a moving on point, it's a rebuild from the rubble. And those 3 things that we talked about were, first of all, the medication. So I did go on to some antidepressants. There are brain things that go on. You talked about many times. If you had a headache, you'd take a painkiller, or maybe some people wouldn't. If you snapped your leg, you'd get it set in plaster, all those kinds of things. So there was a brain thing. And within a week or so, it was a day. In the kind of Jace, I'd be walking down the street and I'd see an elderly couple holding hands. And then I'd have to dash into an alleyway to cry because it made me feel so happy and sad at the same time. And it was hard to regulate those emotions. So the first one was getting some medication. The second one was what I can control myself, that self-help pillar. Go for walks. I love, but I ditched those mostly because I was just too hangover for days on end. Eradicated alcohol. And it wasn't from I feel there is a dependency on alcohol. I know there are people that out there that were like, which are addicted, and it is horrific for them. The issue for me was the underlying well-being aspects and being able to regulate those. So once I got a grip with my own happiness to more of an extent, then it meant that there was a less of a want to drink the alcohol. Got rid of that. Started eating better and starting to talk more openly with the people who I love and taking some ownership of a plan of attack. And that for me was one of those really key things. And the third one was talking therapies. Now, there are some massive issues with being able to get access to counselling. There are some places out there that do offer 6 counselling sessions. There are places like Big Moose, based out in South Wales, offer help and support. But the reality is that some of these things take time. It took a long time to be able to get access to those. But by dealing with the first 2, it meant that I was less reliant on the third one. And also, if you're paying for therapy sessions yourself, it can be £80, £100 a session. maybe even more. And the reality is at that time I was having to live on disaster assistance funds to be able to keep my world moving. And so I just didn't have that money. But by dealing with two of those myself, I was able to some of those aspects and of the rigor that comes with having to progress through life after this level of awakening. And that was the key thing, really. It came from the GP, and that was the biggest moment for me, going to the GP and accepting I needed help. And the next part I'll share with you in a second. It must have been September 2024. Here we are now, 2025. We're in this period of time between Christmas and New Year, and it could be Thursday, it could be January, it could be Saturday. So anyway, I'd done a couple of counselling sessions. I'd been staying away from alcohol massively, and I was out for a walk. It was a beautiful sunny day. Some people had said hello to me. An elderly lady near me had crossed the road to give me a hug. She'd seen some stuff that was going on and just wanted to let me know that, nice guy and people love me. I got home and there was a piece of cake waiting for me on the front door with a lovely note on it just saying that people love you. And it's that moment when I just thought, you know what, it's going to be okay. And I spent a bit of time reflecting upon that, and it was, it was in better order. I think it's going to be a long time before I consider what okay is, because I don't think I've known what okay is for such a long time. But I felt really content in that moment. It was a nice piece of Victoria sponge as well. I felt like there was nice people around me. I felt that sense of community. I felt stronger because I had some ownership of what was going on. I felt that the alcohol started to have some kind of a positive impact on what was going on. And I started to have some tools to be able to understand emotions a bit better. I was using HALT at the time, hungry, angry, lonely, tired, to be able to start to understand the snap reaction to things. So rather than getting wildly angry, thinking about the second thought and first action. So my first thought being, life's awful, I'm going to go to the pub and make things happy by being around people and ditching things with alcohol. To actually thinking, you know what, maybe I am just feeling a bit lonely, pop a message into somebody. So anyway, I'll more about this stuff. But there was that moment when I just suddenly realised all of these aspects, dealing with the happiness, dealing with well-being, ditching alcohol, talking to people, getting help, medication, all of these aspects started to come together. So I'll just share that moment with you because you will find that moment too, because it will come together at some point, because it's hard going out there and talking to therapists and opening up your world. And for me, my world had been vomited all over the media. So I had to go out there and get these things dealt with. So some of it was just no choice. But the reality is when you do sit with people who are professionals, the quicker that you can be more open, the sooner you'll get the tools to understand. So I just went in there, vomited up everything and you really understand what was going on with the brain thing here. So yeah, that moment, and that for me was one of them. Something that comes up consistently through any level of psychology discussions that I have is around how we talk to ourselves. And once I started thinking of it as a rebuild, as potentially the greatest opportunity that's ahead of me, to be able to rebuild from the rubble, to be able to make it a stronger building, to have a better foundation, that started to really reshape how I talk to myself in other aspects. Now, there is some brain science around neuroplasticity, around the brain rewires around how you think. So, even you've got your inside voice and your outside voice, right? So when you are talking to yourself in your brain, then it does turn into a lot of other thought patterns. And there's even subliminal aspects. There's the aspects that for every one mental thought that we have, there are tens of other thoughts that we don't even think about. So actually, by just thinking of it in a more positive way, so the awakening rather than the rebuild, let me go again. So the awakening rather than the breakdown, the rebuild rather than the broken, that kind of stuff is going to be such a key aspect to you. So how you think about yourself is certainly going to be a way that the way you interact with your level of happiness, I'll fucking delete all of this. Don't even know how far away I am. So that's going to be something that you really do need to consider, is to start to think positively about yourself. Think about what the great opportunity is. And I know it's hard, right? I promise you, I know it's hard. And that's why I'm sharing this stuff with you, is so that you can start to see, just do a few things, just do a couple of things, but do them really well to reshape that moment away from being broken. So I defy anybody out there to not have had cracks in their human structure. If you think that you're broken, you're not. If you think that you've got no chance to rebuild your life from the rubble of what's happened, you can do this. If I can, you can. And I used to think that it was something rather sycophantic, that kind of, if I can, you can. And I'd be like, you don't know my story. But I suppose where I've been, then I would like to think that a lot of people out there can crack on. Most people are out there trying to hide some of these aspects of their life. They think that it's weak. They think that the vulnerability is going to show them as someone who can't withstand the rigors of life. But you know what? I think this is the most powerful thing that's happened to me, to be able to demonstrate the emotional and physical resilience that comes with being able to rebuild from the other side of this significant life event. So everyone has cracks. Everyone has issues that go on. Some people choose to gloss over it. Some people choose to laugh it off and move on. Others choose to hide from it. Don't hide. Every human has cracks. Everybody has cracks in their life. Everyone has moments where they lead towards collapse or awakening, as we will now call it. But not everybody chooses to rebuild with some intention. Let that person be you. Make that conscious choice to be aware, to be conscious of. So if you're watching this and you think you're broken, you're not. And let's not forget, this rebuild of your life will create a stronger you for years and decades to come. So please do let me know in the comments, or feel free to reach out to me directly. Let me know. As always, let's be kind. So let me know in the comments, how are you getting on? Has this been useful? Is there anything here that resonates? Let us know. But as always with these community things, let's keep the comments constructive. Let's keep them nice. You never know how your comments can either pull someone out of dark holes or push someone even further into the deepness. So thanks for watching this far, if you have done. And more stuff is to follow. Please do subscribe. It helps me. It helps the channel. And of course, please do let us know what's going on. Your story could be the ripple of inspiration that helps others. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. Bye.